Thank you for taking the time to watch this episode of Life Support. If you enjoy the content, we would ask that you like it, hit subscribe, and share it with your friends. Hey, it's good to have you with us here on Life Support. We love telling stories, and we talk about Jesus, redemption, and really meet interesting people, and that's what we're going to do again today. I hope you will be encouraged. Dave Boeltl is my guest. He is a man who does a lot of ministry, and I think really unusual and interesting ministry. So thanks a lot for being here, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about, you said I have 4 main areas of ministry. Tell me about that.
Ice hockey. I've been doing hockey ministry a long time, since 1980. And music. I'm a musician. So that's a great tool, by the way. You can go a lot of places and do a lot of things. Native people, native Canadians mostly, and I've been doing that since 1980. And then incarceration / recovery, and then I can use actually all that, and they blend together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the obvious question is, how did you get involved with all of this stuff?
I got saved.
Tell me about that.
I got saved mid-20s. I was in my mid-20s, and I don't know how long you want me to spend on that, but I just see if I can do something short here. Just came to the spot where all my troubles, and I believe God showed me that people couldn't help me with my troubles. And I believe God showed me that only God could help me with my troubles. And so I reached out and asked God to help me. And I thought I had a responsibility. If I was going to do that, I needed to read the Bible. And I'm not going to church, by the way. And you can't make me go to church. And I didn't. But I read the Bible. And that was the beginning and the key, and just great. And God just saved me through that. I just got changed in my mid-20s. And it continues on today, how great it is.
So of these 4 areas, which was first for you?
Well, I was playing music already, but in 1980 I did my first mission outreach trip to an Indian reservation. So I would say I was already playing hockey. Well, I could do that. Let's say this. So I was playing hockey in my 70s and my mid-20s, and then I go get saved, and I'm the only Christian that I know that is a hockey player. But as I'm starting to get enlightened by God with truth, He was showing me that my hockey was an idol or too important. And He called me to give up playing. And I didn't want to give up playing. I really loved playing, but it was tough and it was nasty, and I'm getting changed by God, and I got no Christian connection with any of these guys, and the Lord told me to give it up. So I did. And so this would be like when I'm late 20s, 26, 27, 28 years old, in the late 70s, and I put my equipment away, and I really like my equipment, still like my equipment, like putting it on and all that stuff, and I just put it away, and I didn't play for about 3 years. And I think this is an important part, because I had to surrender that before the Lord could open up what He had for me. And then I hear about a missionary that was looking for Christian men that were hockey players to go to an Indian reservation in northern Canada. And I'm in. I'm like ready to go right away. Mm-hmm. And that would be 79 when I heard about that. And I went, and there were 7 of us that went to a Native community in northwestern Ontario, Canada, above Lake Superior. And this missionary, his name was Mark Patton, and he was the director of Okanto, which is a ministry that's still going today. They're in Grand Marais or outside of Grand Marais in the Boundary Waters. And so God gave that hockey back to me with a ministry. But first, I had to get to the spot where I was going to surrender it. And out of that came a hockey ministry that's still going today. I've been to that community. I went 40 years in a row to it's called Fort Hope. And in fact, I'll be there in July. What's this? June. Right, it's June. So I'm going next month. I'll be going back. I went 40 years in a row, continue to do that, so it's a long story on that. But that's how it got going. And then I started a hockey ministry here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, out of doing those trips. We took, eventually we took adult men, Christian men, to this reservation for hockey tournaments against the men. And we actually did, it expanded, and we did like seven Native communities up there, but mostly Fort Hope. And I played a lot of tournaments against the guys, checking tournaments against Native guys, outdoor arenas in northern Canada in the 80s and in the 90s.
So how does the incarceration recovery part fit in?
With that, really not at all, other than we all got something we're struggling with, and addictions, and the Native people very much so. Their struggles are many, and so for me it didn't start with that. It started in the Twin Cities. That would come mostly through music. So I'm developing music too and learning how to play. And in the early 90s is really when things exploded for me music-wise, where I had opportunities. And that was with another ministry called Overcomers Ministries. That's still going. In fact, I leave tomorrow for a Native family camp in northern Minnesota by Bemidji or Red Lake. It's Overcomers Ministries Native family camp, and I'll be leading the music. But that Overcomers did a lot in the Twin Cities on Franklin Avenue in the late 80s and the 90s, and I got connected in with them through the director Gordon Thayer, and Native man from Wisconsin, and he just gave me a spot to play music, and that has a lot to do with incarceration and with recovery. And then one more thing is he connected me up with Metro Hope Ministries, Metro Hope, which is on Cedar and 28th, Cedar and 28th in Minneapolis. It's a wonderful recovery program, and that started the addiction and recovery ministry part, mostly music. I've done a bunch of mentoring, though, mentoring guys too.
Wow, yeah. You've done a lot of stuff. And that all started when you were willing to surrender hockey.
Yeah, and the rest.
Yeah. But don't you think that the Christian walk is all about surrender?
Yeah.
Surrender. Like God's always calling us, lay that down, lay that down, lay that down.
Yeah. Yeah. It continues on, really.
Mm-hmm. 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 And it's always a little bit scary to lay things down. But then you realize that God many times has something better planned, or you become a healthier person, or whatever the case may be.
Well, you should get better at it. I think I get better at it. 40-some, I don't know how long I've been saved, 73, what's that? Anyway, maybe it's 50-something. But
you're getting close to 50.
I get better at knowing that when I surrender something, that God's promises to just be with me. I've seen the results of that enough that I should know, but there's still that in there that sometimes you don't wanna, or whatever. I'm still a work in progress.
Oh yeah, well, we all are. My guest is Dave Boeltl. He's a Renaissance man when it comes to missions. He's got all kinds of things going on. I really want to focus on the Native people for a bit because I mentioned to you I lived in British Columbia. The church I pastored there was about a mile from a reservation in Tsawwassen, British Columbia.
Yeah.
And there's a real dynamic up there that Americans don't quite understand because of residential schools. And
Yep, very much.
so as you get to know these people, and you've obviously earned their trust over these years, what's the biggest barrier for them when it comes to the gospel, when you're sharing the gospel with them, or when the gospel becomes available to them? Is it just like you and me? Like, I don't understand who God is, or are there other issues that come into play?
A lot of that, I would say trauma, or the struggles of their pain, and that would say would be the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wounds, hurts, abandonment. The residential school thing. So you probably know more about that. It really was. I'm trying to think of the word, but devastating. I want to use another word.
Devastating is a really good word for it.
All right.
And it created a chasm between them and normal society, because they don't trust white people very much because of that.
Yeah, right. And what happened to them? They're like abandoned or disconnected from their parents. They lost the understanding ability to go about parenting. I think the other thing is their older culture, or the way that they did things, if I'd say that better rather than the word culture, it just doesn't go these days. And so the transfer, the change from that has been a difficult thing. But I just say they're wounds.
Mm-hmm.
They're wounds more than anything. But right when we go in, but especially at the beginning, one, we were Christians, and two, we were white.
Yeah. Strike one, strike two.
But you go in humbly, you go in willing, you go in soft, you go in as you make friends. We lived with them in their homes. They still do. They never had a white person in their house, or they never had white people come to their community for anything other than like administrative things or legal things. And but continuing to go back is a big deal with Native people, but I think with others too. Mm-hmm. And when you go back, things change, and that's a big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been up there. There are the Native communities up in northern Canada. There's a lot of them, all the way across.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the population.
Isolation, I think, is another thing. It's better now with the digital world, but like I went and started in 1980. I mean, they had two TV channels, and the telephone would bounce off the satellite with a hesitation in there, and they didn't get off the reservation hardly at all. Most of the places that I have gone to, including Fort Hope as a fly-in, you can't. There's no roads. You can paddle in. Don't. But maybe you've seen ice road truckers.
Yeah.
Okay, I say that because everybody's seen that. Well, in fact, they've been up there. They usually are out west more. But I'm like north of Lake Superior, and they've been up there. And so now there are ice roads going into these communities, and that, along with they've gotten some reimbursement for the issues that happened to them during residential schools, and then the information communication now is better. That they've got more health there, I guess if I could say it that way.
Yeah.
Because back then they were, like when we first went, I mean it was shacks. They still are a lot of shacks, but outhouses, and you had to haul water. So you got to go down to the lake and break through somehow, and it's 40 below, by the way, and haul water back up. And they had snowmobiles. Before that, they had dog sleds.
Wow.
But I wasn't up there then. I was with the snowmobiles and slop buckets under the sinks, where and you got to heat water, and the kids would take like three baths a winter, and use the same water over again. No showers and no indoor plumbing. That's where I started that's like 1980 until like, I don't know, the mid 90s or something.
Right,
They started getting going. But
it was your perseverance. It was your repeated trips back that began to show them that you were serious, you loved them, you wanted to be part of who they are. It was that consistency.
Very much so, yeah. And the hockey is the kind of the relationship thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, come out of church, come out of the rink.
Yeah.
And in Canada, hockey's got this different dynamic, and
it's everything.
Everybody plays, and all the native guys, all the native people play. Kids play. They're really good. They skate on the ice. They skate on the roads. We would in the early years. There's no locker rooms. It's just an outdoor rink, and you put your stuff on in the house.
Right.
And then you walk down to the rink, or maybe you get a ride on the back of a snowmobile, and then you play your game and pray your toes and nose don't freeze and get out of there. But the hockey was with us. Hockey's like the beginning thing. There's a number of things that go on in these communities where you just start relationships, and hockey's one of the things that does that. And then eventually you can have people that live there. So through Oconto, which is the organization that I was with for like 25 years, that's what we did. We had missionaries that lived there, and then you invite them down. So they come. You would invite people to come into the Twin Cities, and so I've done all of that for all these years. I've done hockey schools for Native kids now for 30 years.
Wow.
Where they come down here.
But God used your natural love for hockey.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a good lesson for everyone that thinks missionaries are some separate entity. Like, we're all on mission. We're all sent to spread the gospel and make disciples, and God will use our natural talents, the things we enjoy doing. You don't have to go find some weird thing. Just find what God wants you to do and the thing that you're doing right now.
Hockey stick, a staff.
Yeah.
All right. I've likened my hockey stick to Moses' staff, and God took that staff that Moses had, and the number of the things that God did were God had Moses touch the water, and this and that, and for me and for us, it's a stick. One more thing is that I think when God calls you to people, there's a love that God has for those people, and He puts that in us. Mm-hmm. And about my third year up north, I first went in 1980 to this place called Fort Hope, and I went because it's exciting, it's fun, it's doing something for God, it's hockey, it's being with the brothers in Christ, and this and that and this and that. It's still that way. But the third year, I'm walking down the road up there, and I'm crying. Mm-hmm. It's like, I didn't kind of know why. And I asked God, and He said He was putting His love in me for the people. Mm. And that's been the call and the motivation ever since. Mm-hmm. And it still is. Mm-hmm. I just love being around them and being with them and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it doesn't necessarily need to happen. I think it does, but it's like, that's one of the things you can kind of see. Let's put it this way: what your gifts are and whatever they are, whatever the Lord is, just use it. Mm-hmm. And then a love for the people that the Lord, and it isn't really our love,
right?
It's a Holy Ghost, God-given love that God puts in us, for where He sends us.
It's really good. When we have a lot of people that do prayer walks around their neighborhood and they're praying for their neighbors and so forth, that would be a great addition to that prayer. Lord, help me to have your love for them in me. And just think how that would be transformational. in people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, it's one of the motivations. I've seen fruit and all. You don't necessarily see that. I've just seen super results. But, I'm like 50 years into this stuff. I think that, one important person, I've had two main mentors. One is Mark Patton. He's the director of Oconto. He's died. The other is Gordon Thayer, the director of Overcomers. He's died. But both those guys are just monstrous in how God used them to disciple me. And especially in the early years, it was this Mark Patton. And he's the missionary, if you're still listening wherever you're listening. At the beginning, like I was just a Christian of about 5-6 years or so, and I heard about this missionary that looking for Christian men that are hockey players to go on an Indian reservation. That was Mark Patton. And he was the director of Oconto. And he had gone to Fort Hope, this native community up in northern Canada. And they had almost thrown him off the reservation. Like, what are you doing here?
Right.
Who are you and why are you here? And he had these young adult youth group people. And he goes, God, why? I know you told me to come here, but now they want to kick me out of here. And God showed him a hockey rink. This was in the summer. But God showed him the boards that stay up all year round for an outdoor rink. He said, bring some hockey players up here. So he went back out of Canada with that, went back to Oconto, which is in the Boundary Waters, northern Minnesota. And he got the word down to Minneapolis, and I was one of those. There were 7 of us that went on that first trip, including my son, who was 12 at the time. He's 59 now, my son. Runs a hockey training business.
But you're not getting any older.
I'm 78.
Well, it's amazing what God has used you to do, and I'm looking forward to having you back. So there's a whole lot of other things I want to dive into, but I think from your story, that what you just mentioned about mentorship, about passing the torch, when you get as we get older, that's our job, right? Our job is to empower the next generation and pass the torch to them, because that's how the gospel continues to spread. And you've done a great job of spreading the gospel. I really appreciate your story, and I appreciate you stopping by, because I think it meant a lot to a lot of people. I appreciate that.